time to take a look at what's making the headlines in the papers this morning. And so let's bring in a RISE analyst, Dr. Constance Ikoku. Good morning, Constance.
Good morning, Charles. How are you?
Very good, thank you. And you?
I am very good too. And Yolanda, good morning.
Good morning, Dr. Constance. How are you today?
I am very well, and you?
I'm great, thank you. Good to see you.
Good to see you too. And to look at the papers with us today, we have Chuks Akunna. He is the Executive Director of Authority newspaper. Hello there and welcome to the program. We'll begin with This Day. In This Day newspaper, in a major advance for AFCFTA, Nigeria signs ECOWAS tariff offers for trade in goods. What this essentially means is tariff elimination on 90% of goods, which enhances competitiveness across African markets. It also lowers barriers and offers small and medium enterprises new opportunities to scale operations regionally. This positions Nigeria as a key player regionally and on the continent. Chuks, the African Continental Free Trade Area Agreement slowly but surely is inching towards a larger and more accessible market, as well as a stronger trade within the continent. That's the way to go.
Yes, exactly. The truth is that it's been said that necessity is the mother of invention. So, you know, because of the ongoing challenge by US President Donald Trump, so I think that's why Africans and indeed Nigerians are wearing our thinking caps and actually trying to brace up, you know, to actually confront this problem, trade problem. You know, it's unfortunate that before now, that buying goods from countries like the US, China, and even the UK is easier than actually buying goods across West Africa. We have more trade with foreign nations, nations in Asia and the Americas and Europe than we have amongst ourselves in Africa. So it's a good thing that Nigeria has, you know, signed this, and at least the African Continental Free Trade Agreement will. Let's hit the ground running and let's show the world that we can actually trade amongst us. It's a big market. Nigeria is the largest market in Africa in terms of population, in terms of GDP. So, and Nigeria is a very big producer of goods and services. And I know very well that many businessmen across Africa, particularly West Africa, come to Nigeria to buy goods, you know, because Nigerians import and actually produce more goods than most African countries, especially in the sub-region. So it's a good one, if you ask me.
Yeah, maybe in West Africa, not in the entire continent, because we have other heavyweights on the continent, apart from Nigeria, that also produce quite a bit. We have South Africa, we have Egypt, we have other countries, we have Kenya as well. But the AFCFTA has been going on for some years now. It has nothing to do with the tariff that Trump has slapped on countries. And what is going to happen, I think, is the expansion of markets, which will lead to job creation. And I think there are possibilities. The future for Africa is pregnant with possibilities, and I'm really looking forward to see how this pans out eventually. Okay, from a very uplifting story to a depressing one, let's go to the Guardian newspaper, a perennial problem that we have in Nigeria. Here it says, Gencos threaten shutdown over 4 trillion naira debt as banned a customers' protest. The Association of Power Generation Companies say the debt owed by the federal government is crippling. And they also say that out of the 4 trillion owed, there seems to be no possible solutions, including cash payments, financial instruments, and debt swap. And the 2025 budget only allocates 900 billion naira to power. So they said the power generating companies are bearing the brunt of liquidity crisis in the Nigeria electricity supply industry. So, I mean, when you read through this story, there are so many serious concerns raised by these companies. It's a dire situation now, Chuks.
Yes, I'm not just serious. They're very, very depressing, because if you look at 4 trillion from the federal government, then, you know, it's a huge problem, you know. Like you rightly pointed out, 900 billion naira allocated to power sector in the entire budget of this year. So you ask yourself, what really is going on? What do we seek to achieve? We spoke earlier about the African Continental Free Trade Agreement and the need for Nigeria to compete with other regional powers in terms of production. But we all know that you cannot run generators, you cannot run your factories on generators and expect to compete favorably with other climes. That's why we have very cheap goods coming in from China, because if you want to compete with them, you have to first of all buy diesel and power your generators. Then I'm talking about the cost of moving goods from point A to point B, or the bad roads and other factors. So it's really depressing. But then I think we cannot allow power gencos to stop generating power, because that will be an elixir for disaster. Because you have to generate power. That's the first rung on the ladder of power in the country. You have to first generate this power before you talk about transmission and then distribution. But it's a huge problem, if you ask me.
All right, let's see the Punch. 2027, Atiku bloc defies PDP governors over coalition talks. Ex-Vice President insists on 2027 Pan-Nigerian project as PDP governors distance the party from those talks. After their Monday meeting in Ibadan, the People's Democratic Governors Forum announced the party will not participate in any coalition or merger, while Alhaji Atiku Abubakar insists is the only way to unseat the president in 2027. Charles, let me come to you. I don't see Atiku running this alone without the governors, except he wants the party to be highly factionalized, which it is already, but this time around just break into pieces.
He'll have a hard time convincing those governors to tag along with him. However, let's look at Atiku Abubakar's antecedents. He was elected on the PDP platform alongside Chief Olusegun Obasanjo, served as vice president for 8 years, left the party, and on a couple of occasions ran either as an aspirant or outrightly as a candidate of the party that is now the APC. As a matter of fact, he was one of the founding fathers of the All Progressives Congress, didn't get what he wanted, and then has returned to the People's Democratic Party, and now he is looking at a coalition, I think with the CPC elements, to get into the SDP, and so it will be about the third or fourth political party that Atiku Abubakar will be seeking the presidential ticket on. So, I mean, I am definitely not surprised here, but getting the other governors to go along with him will definitely be an uphill task for Alhaji Atiku Abubakar.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think it would be an uphill task. Chooks, any thoughts on that?
Yes, and let's not also forget that some of these governors will be finishing their second term about that time. They're also interested in that, in the same thing that Atiku wants, and that's the presidential ticket of the PDP. Some of them feel that Atiku has had a ticket twice, and he didn't make anything out of it. And age, we all know, is not on his side. So they also, you have the chairman of the governors forum, PDP governors from the governor of Bauchi State. You have Sheyi Makinde. These two governors. You also have Governor Doediri, who is from the south, like Makinde, who also will be about that time completing his second term in office, second and final term in office. So this is, there's this talk that the young shall grow, and I think the young are already grown in the PDP. So I think they're trying to send a clear and loud message to Atiku that your time is up.
Yeah.
If you want to contest for presidency, you can do that elsewhere. But this, we're taking back our party for ourselves. And
once he takes the ticket, they have to wait for another 4 years.
Exactly.
That's always the permutation among the younger governors who want to have a shot at the presidency. Okay, let's move on to Daily Trust. Here, bloodletting continues in Plateau. 49 killed in fresh attack. This comes just 2 weeks after 80 people were killed in Bokos local government area. When you read the account in Daily Independent, if we want to pull that up, it says gunmen attacked and started shooting sporadically, and the scale of the violence suggests a well-planned and coordinated assault on the community. The president has asked the governor to address the root cause of this conflict and says the federal government will support him. I mean, what more is there to say? Even in this day, actually, let's also see how this day put this story. It says the president declares Mutfwang must summon the will to deal with Plateau continued killings. I mean, Yolanda, if you want to jump in here.
Yes, the situation is quite devastating. I think when Charles and I took the report earlier on, we literally took a moment because it was very devastating to see that the state is trying to recover from what happened a few weeks ago, and then now for a fresh attack. I think we're way past the point of dialogue at this point and saying things like enough is enough. Condemning such acts is always in place, but now what Plateau people need is action. They need people to be held accountable. They need protection in that state. Seeing all those mothers, you know, families without their breadwinners is quite a devastating thing to see, and the persistent violence calls for a critical evaluation of the current security policies that are being upheld in Plateau State, and action definitely needs to be taken as soon as possible.
And Chooks,
yes,
go ahead.
Talking about action, you know, a few months ago, the Director General of the DSS, Tosin Ajayi, spoke about community policing, you know, trying to make communities be the first line of defense. You know, some people try to criticize him, but then, you know, it's staring us in the face now that we actually need to arm ourselves, you know, and protect ourselves. Because if you look at our law enforcement agencies, you know, we have one of the lowest police to citizen ratio in the world, about policeman to about 650 persons. There's nowhere in the world where such things happen and you expect people to be safe. Because just look at the brazenness, you know, just about 2 weeks ago, 50-something persons, and then now 49 persons.
80, the first one was 80 people.
Okay, yes. So over 120 persons, you know, died needlessly because they refused to, I mean, they're not allowed to arm themselves. You know, imagine they had also armed themselves, you know, if they had not been armed, at least they would have had some measure of resistance, you know.
Yes.
Because, you know, people just come into villages, kill people, and just walk away as if they are ghosts, and you can't trace them. They just walk into thin air. You know, I think it's becoming unacceptable. We have to find concrete solutions to this problem, not just condemning each time it happens.
There's actually supposed to be a military operation going on in Plateau. It's called Operation Safe Haven. Yes, Safe Haven, that's the name. And now it actually calls to question the kind of order Safe Haven is operating under now. Previously, they were able to a large extent, contain these killings, and then all of a sudden, they spark up again. First, it was Bokos, 80 people dead. Yes. Now it's Bassa. The body count is still rising.
Yes.
So, I mean, I agree with the Chooks that at this point, there should be some parallel security operation that would actually assist the conventional security forces. You know, I guess people are afraid that what happened in Uromi might happen here, but it's also, you know, related in the sense that, you know, allow the people to arm themselves and keep an eagle eye on the parallel security forces.
I wonder what happened to that bill on local policing or state police. Last year, I thought that we had made some progress on it. There was a lot of talk between the presidency and the governors. A lot of governors supported it, but it has died down. So just wondering what's happening there. Okay, let's see Daily Sun as well. We'll stand with Fubara till the end, vow PDP governors. And I also read somewhere that the chief magistrate of Rivers State has resigned in protest against the emergency rule that some just see as military rule in disguise, and which all questions, you know, stirs a debate about democracy, about the rule of law, about what we're actually doing in this country. Yeah, very interesting times. Let's move on to the international headlines. Here we have Daily Graphic. A scholarship scheme overhauled, new bill to go before Parliament soon. Then Citizen newspaper, Cyril asked for Elon's support. This is according to Elon Musk's father, Errol. Errol said this occurred before last May's general election, in which when the then candidate Cyril Ramaphosa wanted Elon Musk to be more involved in South Africa and to, you know, quote, give the ANC a thumbs up. Elon's father said he thought his son will not, do that, but forwarded him the letter anyway. Elon Musk has been upset that his Starlink's company has been unable to operate in South Africa due to laws requiring companies to sell ownership stakes to black people. Yolanda, please come in here. I mean, essentially, when you think about this beef between South Africa and the United States, where Elon Musk is involved, this is what it is about. He does not want to obey the laws of the country. The South African government has said Starlinks can come in here, but go by the laws.
Right. And very, very quickly, I want to read a quote of what Errol actually said in his response about what Musk said. And I quote, "He wanted me to convince Elon to become involved in the country and give the ANC a bit of a thumbs up as the elections were coming in May. I looked at the letter and thought that Elon is not going to endorse the ANC. I told Ramaphosa's people that I don't think Elon will respond to this, and they said, leave it then, don't send the letter. I did send the letter to Elon out of interest," Musk Sr. said. And this just tells you everything that you need to know. I mean, it's pretty obvious that Elon Musk is not trying to play ball with South Africa. And I don't know why, the South African government keeps trying to push for this relationship that seems non-existent. To me, I feel like this kind of quote is actually quite embarrassing on the stance of South African government, because why are you shimming up to him? He's obviously showing that, look, there's no interest here, so please just back off. That's my candid opinion on this one.
I don't know. I mean, Musk also talks about how South African laws are anti-white.
Yes.
And when you think about it, it just shows you how the white people in South Africa have a totally different perspective of what happened during apartheid, and what should be done in order to remedy the injustices. I'm currently reading Trevor Noah's book, Born a Crime.
Oh, that's a good book.
Has any of you read it?
Yes, I've read the book.
Oh my goodness.
And it's a wonderful read. It's entertaining, but it's a good read. It makes you think.
Yeah, it is so shocking how these race things, how people really treat other human beings as subhumans. And so post-apartheid, they are trying to see how to clean this up. And most white people don't see it that way.
At all.
Anyway, we have to move on. To Daily Mail, being strike grounds or grinds on as labor humiliated. Here is the United Kingdom. The union rejects Angela Rayner's plan to end Birmingham crisis. They're rejecting a significantly improved offer by the government, and this report says rats are running through mountains of bean, and so they've even given the names, the rats a name. They're called squeaky blinders. Can you imagine that? The opposition say Labour is taking the country back. And then on to Daily Mail, here on the front page, we have the women that went to space. We have them floating in space here. They're also in Daily Star, where Katy Perry said, "I went to space and I liked it." She kissed the ground when she returned to Earth, as we can see from that photo. This was very quick, Charles. I remember yesterday when you said they're actually not going to space. I thought it was going to take a while.
No.
They've gone and they're back.
No, what I said was that whether they moved 1 inch into outer space or whether they went into deep space or hyperspace, it was still the same thing. So, I mean, even if they said that they were not really going into deep space, they were out in space after all. And of course, they were able to defy the laws of gravity and float there. So it was fun anyway.
Yeah.
But in my own case, even a regular 34-meter high flight on a conventional aircraft is always a harrowing experience. So I'll always pass.
Okay.
Dr. Constance, I think the comment you're referring to was actually made by me, because there's the Kármán line, which is 100 kilometers off of Earth, which is considered being on the, just the brink of space. So I mean, well done to the ladies. I don't know the significance of this flight, or maybe it's just for the optics, especially that they all have this snazzy, outfit that kind of matches. But you know what? I'm glad that they're back back safely.
All right, next is me. I'm leaving you guys in Nigeria. I'm going to space. Okay.
Safe flight.
Thank you. Finally, we have the sun. Britain is broken. Many think the UK is going in the wrong direction. Chuks, very briefly here. In fact, 66% of the country think, the UK is going in the wrong direction, and they are demanding radical reforms. That's a huge number.
Yes, and this sentiment didn't start today. Even as it's now a common. It's been coined as a phrase. That broke Britain. Britain is broke. So, but I think it's a global problem all over the world. People are also thinking that they're having problems in their country, and particularly the youth, because of the age of internet age. People are asking more. People are demanding more from leaders. That they want this X, Y, Z. And how to achieve that is going to be more challenging because of pressure on human and natural resources.
Okay, that's why we'll call it a wrap. Thank you so much, Chuks Akunna, Executive Director of Authority Newspaper, for being with us here today.
Thank you.
And thank you so much, Dr. Constance, for driving today's review. Good job. Well, that's all we have time for here on Daybreak. I'm Charles Eruka. It's goodbye from me.
And I'm Yolanda Robert. Please do keep it here on Arise News. The morning show is next. Goodbye.